Ya cagaste, murciélago.
Van, en chinga.
Te quiero, cabrón. Te quiero, carnal.
The narrative begins by introducing 5 close friends, Guerrero, Combo, Tenko, Toro, and Polo, who are traveling together. While they appear to be enjoying a leisurely trip, they are actually members of Mexico's most elite Special Forces unit. Inside the vehicle, they engage in a lighthearted conversation about lunch. However, their journey takes an unexpected turn when another car collides with theirs, followed by a violent gun attack.
¡Reporten! ¿Todos bien? ¡Todo arriba!
The scene then shifts to 72 hours prior to the ambush, where Guerrero and his friend Tucho are at a small cafe observing a group of gangsters engaging in criminal activities in front of a police station. These gangsters wield considerable power in the area, brazenly committing crimes in broad daylight, even under the watchful eyes of law enforcement. At that moment, they are attempting to abduct a young woman named Carla, who has come to report their activities to the authorities. Her mother, Lucia, desperately tries to intervene, but both women find themselves powerless against the ruthless criminals. Unable to remain a bystander, Guerrero, a seasoned officer, intervenes and confronts the gangsters directly, leading to a fierce altercation. Shortly thereafter, several police officers emerge from the station. However, instead of providing assistance, they mistakenly aim their weapons at Guerrero, who is holding the gang leader at gunpoint. To clarify any confusion and assert his authority, Guerrero reveals his badge, identifying himself as a captain in Mexico's elite forces. Acknowledging Guerrero's authority, one of the officers promptly instructs his subordinates to apprehend the gang members. As Guerrero prepares to depart, Lucia and Carla approach him, disclosing that they had come to the station to report the discovery of a nearby mass grave. In response, the military swiftly intervenes, deploying special forces and forensic experts to investigate the site due to the gravity of the situation, as relying on the local police, who have demonstrated unreliability, is not a viable option. Upon arrival at the location, the investigation team uncovers the remains of several soldiers who were hastily buried in the vicinity. However, the identities of those responsible for the massacre remain unknown. To honor the fallen soldiers, the military organizes a formal memorial service, allowing their families to pay their final respects. Concurrently, the shocking revelation of the mass grave captures widespread media attention, with major television networks across Mexico covering the tragic event. Reports soon emerge indicating that the soldiers were tortured and killed while attempting to apprehend a notorious drug lord named Josefo Urias. Meanwhile, Joseph's adversary is engaged in a meeting where he acknowledges the escalating threat posed by Guerrero. He cautions his associates about Guerrero's elite status as a soldier who should not be underestimated. Simultaneously, Joseph has initiated a nefarious scheme, ordering his men to abduct Lucia and Carla. Back at the military base, Guerrero convenes his team to strategize their next steps in capturing Joseph's associate. His trusted comrades, Combo, Tenko, Toro, and Polo, stand ready to execute the mission. Based on their intelligence, they identify Lo, one of Joseph's key enforcers, as the primary suspect behind the murders. The team formulates a plan to capture Lo first and use him as bait to lure Joseph and his men into the open. The following day, Guerrero and his team implement their strategy and successfully apprehend Lo while he is dining at a restaurant. Meanwhile, in an unexpected development, Joseph is meeting with Mexico's Minister of Defense. During this meeting, the corrupt official receives a bribe from Joseph in exchange for ensuring that the military will not pursue him. At this moment, the minister informs Joseph that he has intercepted Guerrero's phone communications and that Lo has already been arrested. In light of the circumstances, Guerrero and his team are prepared to take responsibility for the massacre as a consequence of capturing Lo. They are granted a 3-day leave, which they seize as an opportunity to return home and reconnect with their loved ones. Before parting ways, they take a group photo to commemorate their shared experiences during the mission. However, their brief respite is abruptly interrupted by an ambush, which is revealed to be orchestrated by Joseph's men, who are intent on eliminating Guerrero. Despite the surprise attack, Guerrero and his team, being elite soldiers, quickly overpower their assailants. Just then, Romano arrives with reinforcements to continue the assault. Nevertheless, Guerrero's superior combat skills allow his team to gain the upper hand, resulting in the defeat of Romano's forces. Severely wounded, Romano warns Guerrero that he and his team will not survive, as Joseph will relentlessly pursue them. With Romano defeated, Guerrero and his team decide to evacuate before Joseph and his men arrive. While on the move, Guerrero contacts military headquarters to request reinforcements and inform them that Joseph's forces are in pursuit. Shortly after their departure, Joseph's men arrive at the scene and discover Romano's lifeless body. Enraged and devastated by the loss of someone he considered a brother, Joseph vows revenge and orders his men to track down Guerrero, whose location has been compromised due to the Minister of Defense's interception of their communications. Meanwhile, Guerrero and his team navigate through a dense forest en route to a security outpost. Unfortunately, Joseph's men have already tracked their movements, leading to another gunfight. Although they managed to eliminate the enemy forces, Polo and Tenko sustain serious injuries. Polo is shot in the left shoulder, while Tenko suffers significant wounds to his ear and leg. Acting swiftly, Combo administers first aid to both of them. Elsewhere, one of Joseph's men survives the encounter and reports back to him. Undeterred, Joseph remains confident that no matter how hard Guerrero and his team attempt to escape or hide, they will never evade him due to the Minister of Defense's betrayal, which ensures he will always know their whereabouts. Without delay, Joseph and his men set out for the location where Guerrero was last known to be. However, upon arrival, they find neither Guerrero nor his team. Instead, they discover Guerrero's phone placed atop the lifeless bodies of 5 of Joseph's men. Realizing he has been deceived, Joseph clenches his fists in frustration as Guerrero and his team anticipated the surveillance and turned the tables on them. Meanwhile, Polo and Tenko, both injured, decide to take a moment to rest. Combo assessed the gunshot wounds of his teammates, which were deteriorating rapidly. Simultaneously, Guerrero, who had acquired Romano's phone, was taken aback upon discovering a video that revealed the Minister of Defense had been secretly collaborating with Joe's adversary all along. Aware that their circumstances were precarious, Guerrero and his team resolved to expedite their journey to the security post to request reinforcements. During their trek, they encountered a house that appeared to function as a criminal hideout. At that moment, Combo proposed that they raid the location, recognizing their urgent need for a secure place to rest, particularly given Polo and Tenko's critical medical needs. Without hesitation, they stormed the house and swiftly neutralized the criminals inside. However, they were taken by surprise when they found 2 hostages being held captive, Lucia and Carla, a mother and daughter previously kidnapped by Joseph's men. Noticing their distressing condition, Guerrero and his team quickly reassured them that they were now safe. Additionally, the team discovered a cache of weapons, ammunition, and explosives concealed within the house. Now responsible for the safety of 2 civilians, they understood that every subsequent action must be executed with utmost caution. Despite the significant burden and life-threatening dangers they faced, surrender was never an option for them. As soldiers, they were determined to fight with all their might to fulfill their mission. That evening, Guerrero took the time to sit down with Lucia and Carla to explain the harsh reality that they were being pursued by Joe's adversary and his men. With this in mind, Guerrero proposed that they leave immediately and head toward the security post for assistance. Before departing, they equipped Lucia and Carla with bulletproof vests and organized a protective formation to ensure the 2 civilians were safely positioned in the center of their group. Once their preparations were finalized, they prepared to exit the house. However, just as they stepped outside, they were ambushed by Joe's adversary and his forces in a sudden and ruthless attack. Outnumbered and overwhelmed, Guerrero and his team found themselves in a precarious situation, forced to take cover inside the house and respond with their remaining ammunition.
Estoy bien, capitán, voy para arriba.
Meanwhile, Lucia and Carla, unable to watch the soldiers struggle, offered to assist in the fight against the gangsters. Moved by their bravery, Guerrero decided to instruct them on how to handle firearms. Concurrently, Combo requested Tenko to take over his watch duty while he tended to Polo's wounds. Outside, Joe's adversary and his men relentlessly fired at the house, compelling Guerrero and his team to seek cover. Seizing an opportunity when Joe's adversary's men paused to reload, Guerrero and his team launched a counterattack. Unexpectedly, one of Guerrero's shots struck one of Joe's men, injuring him. When the gunfire subsided, Guerrero quickly checked on his team's condition. All members responded except for Tenko, who was in critical condition after being shot by Joe's adversary. Unable to move, he desperately called out for more ammunition, as Guerrero and the others needed to maintain their positions. In response, Carla volunteered to deliver the ammunition to Tenko. At that moment, several of Joe's adversary's men secretly infiltrated the house through an underground passage, unbeknownst to Guerrero and his team. Moments later, the intruders ambushed Tenko and Carla, catching them off guard. In an effort to protect his comrades, Tenko ordered Carla to flee. Determined to prevent further danger to his team, Tanko made the ultimate sacrifice by detonating a bomb to eliminate the enemy. Tragically, Guerrero not only lost Tanko but also Polo, who was fatally shot by Joe. With Polo having lost a significant amount of blood, there was no possibility of saving him. The weight of grief bore heavily on Guerrero and his remaining comrades, while Lucia and Carla also mourned the loss of the brave soldiers who had risked everything to protect them. Together, they prayed for the fallen warriors, hoping their souls would find peace. Meanwhile, left with no alternatives, Joseph was compelled to surrender and lower his weapon. However, rather than pleading for mercy, he challenged Guerrero to a one-on-one fight, man-to-man. As a soldier bound by honor, Guerrero could not harm an unarmed opponent, so he accepted Joe's challenge to a bare-knuckle duel. Initially, Guerrero struggled against Joe's adversary, a skilled martial artist. However, as he reflected on the sacrifices of his fallen brothers in arms, his fighting spirit was reignited. Fueled by determination, he launched a relentless assault, ultimately overpowering Joe. After defeating him, Guerrero turned to his team and declared that it was finally over. His unwavering patriotism and resilience were evident in the blood and sacrifice that marked his journey. By the following morning, after a grueling battle filled with loss and hardship, reinforcements finally arrived to secure the area. A gravely injured Joe was immediately arrested and prepared for trial. It was revealed that Guerrero had intentionally spared him to ensure he could serve as a witness in court against the corrupt officials who had conspired with him, including the treacherous Minister of Defense. Later, Guerrero, Combo, Toro, Lucia, and Carla were airlifted home by helicopter. Although they returned with heavy hearts mourning the loss of their dear friends, the memories of Polo and Tanko would forever remain in their hearts. With that, the story came to a close. Thank you for watching, have a great day.